Algeria's counterterrorism expertise is gaining international recognition. U.S. officials praise its pivotal role in North Africa and the Sahel. In this special edition, we explore how Algeria became a regional model and what the future holds for its leadership. For more analysis and insight on the matter, we're joined by Mr. Hamoud Salhi, Associate Dean Professor of International Studies at the University of California, via Teams.
A pleasure. Thank you for inviting us.
Mr. Akram Khrayef, journalist, geopolitical and security researcher from Tunisia via Teams, is going to be joining us as well. And here in the studio, we're having with us Hussam Barkan, journalist at Al24 News. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Miriam.
Thank you. U.S. Congress praises Algeria as a key pillar of stability in North Africa and the Sahel, highlighting its leading role and expertise in counterterrorism. So before starting the debate, let's watch this report by Marwa Belaiwar.
In a development highlighting Algeria's effective strategy and leadership in regional peace and security, U.S. Congress members emphasized the essential role of cooperation with Algeria in the bilateral partnership between Washington and Algiers. Stability in North Africa and the Sahel region, they say, hinges on Algeria's proven experience in combating terrorism, an approach that goes beyond purely security measures where many countries have failed. This strong Algerian-American collaboration was further confirmed by Massad Boulous, senior advisor to the U.S. President for Africa, Arab and Middle Eastern Affairs, who, speaking from Algeria, reaffirmed the shared commitment to deepen cooperation in addressing security and regional challenges. The partnership between Algeria and the U.S. extends beyond economics and energy, critical sectors for both nations, to include enhanced security ties. A recently signed memorandum of understanding between Algeria and the U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, aims to strengthen military cooperation and reinforce the promising alliance, especially in the fight against terrorism, alongside expanding collaboration in economic and energy sectors.
And Robert Palladino of the U.S. State Department praised Algeria's counterterrorism record and decisive role in regional security. Let's have a listen.
Algeria's counterterrorism successes also make it a critical pillar of stability in the region.
Algeria, of course, has always had a strong capability, and they do an excellent job of securing their border.
So we start with you, Mr. Hamoud Salhi. We just listened to Robert Palladino testament. What does this recognition from Washington reveal about Algeria's current standing in regional and global security?
It means a lot, but it's not really unexpected. It's not a surprise. We have seen countless of praises just recently by the United Nations Development Program representative who was on visit in Algeria, and she talked about the success of the Algerian development. The declaration by the director of the IMF just days ago stressed the value and the importance of Algeria as a legitimate partner. And then you have a strong relationship between the United States in fighting terrorism for a long time. What is sort of noteworthy is the stress and this stress the importance of working with Algeria as a trusted partner, and more than anything else, a country that has success. And it seems from the declaration of in the hearing, as well as previous declaration by officers from AFRICOM and other military officials, Algeria can be an example of fighting terrorism, is an exemplary model and should be followed, and the United States will do well partnering with it. So it is very, very significant.
Back to you, Mr. Akram Khrayef. Welcome. I think you joined us via Teams.
Thank you.
Can you hear me? Thank you very much. So Algeria is often described as one of the few countries that confronted large-scale terrorism, largely through its own national capabilities without foreign military intervention. From an operational and strategic perspective, what makes Algeria's counterterrorism experience special, unique?
Oh, first of all, the war on terror in Algeria was fought by on a very long time. It took 10 years for the Algerian government to topple this issue. I think that the fact that Algeria was so good into that was because Algeria was totally by itself. Did not have any help from other countries, and had to figure out a way, an efficient way to eradicate this phenomena. And that way was not only by military means, it was also by prevention against violence and extremism. It was also by education. It was also by development. And that's the most important thing. Algeria also, the Algerian authorities found at that time a fair way to find a solution, a political solution to this issue. We had this law on national reconciliation in 2002. So Algeria tackled this problem, the terrorism problem, on many directions. So politically, economically, socially, and also militarily and security-wise as well.
Mm-hmm. And perhaps what key lessons from Algeria's experience can be transferred to other partners of Algeria today?
It's very hard to duplicate what happened in Algeria to other countries, but a lot of countries can today learn about the Algerian experience into preventing that. So the techniques and strategies that Algeria is adopting to infiltrate terrorist group, to gather information on the ground, to build a trustful relationship with the population, but also the other countries can, and especially the US, can also learn from the Algerian experience into reconciliation and politics. Mm-hmm. That all wars should end with an agreement, a political agreement, and this kind of agreement should have a beginning someday and somehow. And Algeria, I think, is very interesting as an example for the US and the other countries as well.
Mr. Hamoud Salhi, President Abdelmajid Tebboune serves as the African Union's coordinator for the prevention and fight against terrorism and violent extremism. How significant is this mandate in positioning Algeria as a continental reference point for counterterrorism leadership?
Very important, and I think this did not escape the American diplomat, policymakers, and military officers, and it is right there. It plays into, or it adds volume, or it speaks specifically to the role that Algeria play in Africa. It's a pillar and a central actor in the African affairs. And it has played a major role in resolving conflict, and it is known, Algeria, I think one of the most important characteristic is that it seeks to achieve to solutions that benefit the people of the countries. So we see heavy emphasis on national sovereignties, national reconciliation. So for the president to lead this organization, organization. It is a result of what the Algerian president has been doing in carrying the Algerian strategy to a world level, to a level where it is now. And we see it also on many levels. In the United Nations Security Council, for example, Algeria has been a key player in advancing real solutions, addressing the issues of the root causes of terrorism. And I think that's why this is, as I said earlier, it's not surprising, but it's a privilege and an honor to see Algeria ranked at this point and respected at this level.
Can we say that Algeria's role here in the region strengthens Africa's push for strategic sovereignty in security matters?
It's very, very interesting. Just to give you an analogy, there is, I believe, a conference led by the IMF on investment in Africa. When you look at the topics, the area of focus, one of them is building the infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Now, the IMF rules are far different from those that Algeria believes in. Algeria seeks to maintain national sovereignty, and when it deals with the IMF, it deals with it as an organization, and the observers, IMF people, recognize that when Algeria is very collaborative but cautious because it values its national identity. Now, why is this important? Why Algeria is important? The fact that this issue is raised and is organized in Algeria means that the IMF recognizes the importance of looking at the region from its own perspective, meaning that having the Algerian leadership at this position and giving Algeria a role in this area is aligns with its geopolitical in the region. For example, in the last few years, we have seen calls, demonstrations in several African countries demanding or centering on the need to get colonialism leave Africa and to treat Africa as independent. Mm-hmm. We've seen also that in line of American diplomacy, that in 2005, the American president at the time and vice president saw Africa as through its petrol or hydrocarbon policies. That now for the US, for the IMF, to come to the realization that meeting in Algeria and to discuss another topic that is the post-hydrocarbon. So again, what this means is that there is a trust, a belief that the Algerian approach that is taken now aligns with the interest of Africa, and more than anything else, are recognized by the United States that this approach is the right one.
This approach is the right one. Maybe we can talk about this approach with Hussam Berkan. So how does Algeria counter terrorism beyond military action? What is the approach overall?
Thank you so much, Mariam. Before answering this question, I would like to emphasize an information that kept repeating all along the questions that you've been asking, Mariam, which is a fact that Algeria is one of the very first countries to start fighting terrorism, even before the global war against terrorism that started by the international community. So we could say here that Algeria really has experienced one of the pillars of security in North Africa and has developed its own approach and its own philosophy. Mm-hmm. And I would like to emphasize also on the fact that Algeria has done this alone. Didn't receive any support, did not receive any kind of help, but we managed to fight terrorism with our own means and developing our own approach. And thus, we could see that a lot of countries like the United States, starting to collaborate with Algeria in terms, of countering terrorism. Just last year, as the professor said, and as the VTR was talking about, Algeria signed this memorandum of understanding with Africa on January 2025, the military cooperation memorandum of understanding with U.S. Africa Command. Joint training, countering terrorism, and collaborating in terms of intelligence and everything. And also, in order for Algeria to share its experience and its expertise and its own approach of countering terrorism. This led Algeria to develop its own philosophy or approach of countering terrorism. And currently, Algeria is passing to the second phase of countering terrorism, which is pairing between, security and development. And thus your question, which is that Algeria currently, we know and we understand that in order for us to counter terrorism, in order for us to tackle the root causes of terrorism, we shouldn't be attacking the symptoms. We should go to the root causes. And we know from experience that developing infrastructure, investing heavily in education, investing in, recently Algeria, hosted a lot of initiatives with African nations. We're talking about economic initiatives like the intra-African trade fair, and Algeria has been investing, heavily in this regard. And also, we could say that Algeria also is hosting bodies like the African Center for Study and Research on Terrorism. Also, the EU-Afripol Police Cooperation Mechanism. Algeria is also participating in regional operational forums like the Joint Operational Staff Committee. So when we talk about conducting research and, trying to understand this phenomena, it's part of countering terrorism. We're not using military means here, but
beyond military means.
Exactly. This is what we say, why it is beyond military means. And it's what Algeria is currently doing because, as I told you, Miriam, from our experience, we understand that investing in isolated regions, investing in these countries in the Sahel region will benefit the whole region and will stabilize it because extremists actually thrive in this kind of environment.
So, how important is this development-based approach for regional stability? How does it even fit into international discussions, including U.S. hearings? We heard the sound bites, and there is also Congresswoman Jane Shaheen, who said that Algeria has been an important U.S. partner in counterterrorism. How important is our approach?
So basically, Miriam, what Algeria, or the approach that Algeria is doing, is extremely important. As I was saying, the approach of Algeria is not focusing on using military means, but instead we're trying to go to the root causes of terrorism, not only focusing
terrorist groups, extremist groups,
exactly.
Violence.
Because when we talk about research, like most of the research that are conducted currently, they find that the main cause of these extremists making new recruits, they focus on these isolated communities and underdeveloped communities where there are no education, there are no schools. And the approach that Algeria currently is doing is really very efficient. Just last year, Algeria invested more than $1 billion, Miriam. It's a huge deal. More than $1 billion in the Sahel region, hosting multiple initiatives and forums that bring African continent, the whole African continent together in Algeria, and investing heavily in infrastructure, investing in roads, investing in energy. And just like last week, Algeria, announced the railway between Tindouf and Béchar and the Garage Bilat, project, which was one of the most awaited projects ever. But when we talk about railways, this is not a separated project, but it's part of a whole vision of connecting Algeria to its neighbors. There's the railway that connects Algeria to Mauritania. And there are multiple projects that Algeria currently is working, talking about internet, fiber
optics.
Exactly, fiber optic to provide internet for these the whole region. We're talking about energy. We're talking about the energy, the intra-Sahara pipeline. So all these projects are, when we see them alone, we didn't see the whole picture. But basically, they are literally working on stabilizing the region. They are working on providing jobs, providing opportunities for all the populations of these regions, and thus indirectly countering terrorism, because terrorism cannot thrive in a very developed area.
Thank you, Hussam. And so, Mr. Hamoud Salhi, Algeria is working through a regional framework such as the 5+5 dialogue and African Union security mechanisms to strengthen collective counterterrorism capacity. How does Algeria use diplomacy and multilateral cooperation to expand its security influence beyond its borders?
That's the right approach, meaning you have to have collaborative efforts, and you have to have countries eager and have the same belief that terrorism is something that is not beneficial to the region, let alone to their home country. The way of doing it is that we have been doing, engage in dialogue and put in an engaged society as well in the development process. Engage also with the United States. Algeria has several agreements in terms of to gather intelligence, to train technical staff, and things like that. So from that perspective, engage in multilateral partnership invites to more successes, and it opens ways to resolve issues diplomatically. And it could be what we refer usually as a preventive diplomacy, meaning that engaging in a discussion about potential problems or potential hotspot that could destabilize the region. So working in that perspective is very beneficial.
Thank you. Mr. Akram Khrayef, in the Sahel in North Africa, where extremist threats continue to evolve today, Algeria is often described as a stabilizing force. Why is Algeria increasingly viewed as a regional security anchor, and how critical is its role today in containing cross-border terrorism?
Because of its geography, Algeria spearhead within the Sahel region. It shares the longest border with the two main Sahel region countries that are affected by terrorism, Niger and Mali. The fact that Algeria is securing and guarding its own border allows the other countries to focus on tackling the terrorism internally and not go towards those borders. Also, Algeria is not a safe haven for terrorist groups, nor for armed groups, and this is due to the presence of the Algerian army all across the southern border. So controlling fuel, controlling also water, controlling all the wealth of the region makes their life very hard for the armed groups in the region. So that's why we are noticing a spill over towards the south for the armed groups that are now preferring going into Burkina Faso and also towards the Guinea Gulf rather than staying close to the Algerian border. And this is mainly due to the efficiency of the Algerian army and the vigilance of the Algerian population in the area, and the good collaboration between the local communities and the Algerian authorities as well.
So we can talk today, even with more transnational terrorism that's becoming more transnational and the technological advances, we can talk about a successful national model that could be followed elsewhere as a blueprint.
Yes, so far the defense model and also the prevention model. So when I say prevention, it also includes the intelligence factor, is an exportable model to other countries. Nevertheless, we notice that new trends are emerging within the terrorist community, if I may say, new trends, new means, and new tools used by them.
Technology.
That will necessitate maybe an update also from the Algerian side in order to stay aligned with the latest technologies in order to fight against terrorist groups.
Thank you very much, Mr. Akram Khreif. You've been with us live from Tunisia via Teams. Mr. Hamoud Salhi, thank you very much. You joined us live from California. Thank you for your insights and analysis. And thank you, Hussein Barkan, for being with us tonight. Thank you also, dear viewers, for following this special edition. But stay with us. The nightly news is coming up next.